Gotta find that spy. Maybe I should ask around.
You already back, Lieutenant Zachariah?
Have a moment, Captain?
Depends what you need it for.
Just want to get to know you better, Captain.
I don't usually mix business and pleasure, Lieutenant, but ask away and we'll see which questions I feel like answering.
You from Ophir?
Born and raised. Father was an officer. Mother was a quartermaster. And I've rarely ventured outside the walls but for a few scattered missions. Sound familiar, Lieutenant?
Very familiar, Captain. Except my parents weren't officers.
Which makes your rise even more noble, Lieutenant.
How was your rise to Captain earned?
Over time. But by no special action by me. Graduated as a corporal, and thanks to the brave men underneath me, their success in missions became mine in rank. No heroic feats to dazzle you with in stories. Just a lot of time and dedication that I'm proud of just the same.
What do you think of us?
Honestly, Lieutenant? I'm not quite sure yet. You Technomancers are new to me. Undoubtedly special, and capable of feats my other units couldn't dream of accomplishing, but time will tell. That said, I've been quite impressed. I thought it was the definition of insanity to send you and so few of your men on some of those missions. Missions I would have anticipated needing 10 times the manpower for. So far, you've proven me wrong. A rare feat in itself. So even though it's taking some time getting used to, I couldn't be happier you're one of my troops.
Can I ask about your relationship with ASC?
Tread carefully, Lieutenant. One might start to wonder the purpose of your questions. But here's my answer. We're all forced to work with them, but it doesn't mean I have to be happy about it. Too much power too quickly leads to arrogance. Brash and too quick to act. And quite frankly, as they've risen in power, it's no coincidence that the dissenters, deviants, and rebels have risen in numbers. And they're a great source of intel, however they get it. I sleep better at night not knowing the means. But I've always thought the army was strength enough, that the ASC was overkill. I trust you won't repeat anything I've said, Lieutenant. I'd hate for both of us to find ourselves enemies of the state over a little frank conversation.
My lips are sealed, Captain, and I appreciate your candor and trust, more than you know. Everything's clean in here. Looks just like the Captain's work. Nothing that implies she's working with the ASC.
At your command, Lieutenant.
Have a second to talk?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. Like, just you and me, or...?
Yeah, just you and me. I like to know my men.
Wow, that's... yeah, that'd be a huge honor, Lieutenant.
So what's your life like when you're not on duty?
Tell you the truth, Lieutenant, not much to tell. I try to visit the city, make some friends, you know, because I don't really know too many folks yet. And my whole family's back in Greenhope, which is kind of too far to travel for my leave. And, oh yeah, there's also, you know, I try to still do some hunting. Though there's not much more than small critters in the underworks. Not a great hobby for the city.
You have a good childhood?
Oh yeah, you know it, Lieutenant. Really nice growing up, running around in the fields. Father gave me a crossbow, and I spent my time helping the farmers shoot critters hurting their crops. They were good times, Lieutenant, but everybody's got to grow up and move on. There was a lot of hunters in Greenhope, too. Plus, I always dreamed of being a soldier. Mostly, though, because there was a girl back home who loved men in uniform, so... Off I went to the big city to join up. And, you know, since I was a sharpshooter, they signed me up and sent me here. Still not used to it. All the buildings, all the folks, all the concrete. But I'm happy, though.
Lieutenant?
I want to know my men better. Tell me a bit about yourself.
Oh, great. Show and tell. Yay.
What do you do when you're off duty?
Nothing special. See my folks, I guess. They ain't getting any younger, so... And I give most of my paycheck to them, because I'm the only one they got left. Sister died. And I ain't married, so... When I ain't with them, I'm at the bar, drowning the shitstorm that my life's become. Not exactly a picture-perfect life, but it's mine. And hell, I get paid enough to help them out and buy my own drinks, so... What's there to complain about?
What do you think about Jeffrey Hunter?
He's a village idiot who thinks he can brown-nose his way to a promotion. Fucking reject. And no, he ain't my friend, if you haven't pieced that together.
I'm gonna leave you alone. Seems you'd rather be that way anyway. I can't open it without a code. I'm not a lockpicker, but if I want to get through here, I better learn quick.
At your command, Lieutenant.
How do you like Dave? You guys get along?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, he's not always the happiest guy in the world, but it's probably because he didn't have an easy life. He's always talking about how his life was nothing before 126 and joining the army, and that his family's all he's got. He's kind of bitter, but he's probably got a right to be. I always cheer him up, though, hoping he'll loosen up over time.
Hi.
Lieutenant, how can I help you?
How much do you know about what's going on in the barracks?
Not much, and not really interested. I'm just a quartermaster, here to grease your wheels when they get rusty, not eavesdrop or gossip. Why are you asking? What are you looking to know?
Jeffrey's lost his locker key. Again. Was scared to come to you to ask for another one.
You coddle him much more, Lieutenant. You're gonna end up with an infant, not a soldier on your hands. But they're your boys, not mine. Here's the last copy of his key. He loses this one and his next copy's gonna look like a crowbar.
Copy that, Quartermaster. What have you heard about my captain?
If you're looking for me to dish dirt, Lieutenant, you're barking up the wrong tree. She may be a woman, but this army could use more officers like her. She'd put herself in front of a bullet for her men. The army's her church. It's sacred to her. And she will and has come to blows with anyone or anything that threatens to tarnish its image. Word is, she's got one hell of a right hook.
What about Jeffrey?
I don't want to talk shit about anyone, not my style. But that boy's only barely sharper than a spoon.
What do you know about Dave Ward?
Quiet, brooding, asshole type. Not a talker, which is fine by me because he's not one I want to talk to.
Lieutenant?
I want to know about your childhood.
You really want to know about my childhood? Sure, yeah, why not? My dad was never around. He was either on the front or doing drills. My mother, though, she was stationed here in Ophir. So we lived in a guard outpost in the slums where she worked. Never expected to make more of myself than become a soldier. I fought a lot as a kid. Had my share of girls. But home life was pretty strict, so I tried to toe the line. Mostly because when I fucked up, I never got off easy.
So when'd you join?
5 years ago. Time fucking flies, don't it? It was in 126. My parents were beaming with pride. Pride that's faded when, after all this time, I'm still just a fucking private.
How old are you?
The fuck does it matter to you? Older than you, though. And the rest you can find in my file. Cool, moving on.
Feels like a Green Hope souvenir stand. Kid must be missing home. Unless being messy's a crime, though. Doesn't look like he's doing anything wrong. This must be a pic of his parents. And his damn notes. Bastard's got my whole schedule in here. And the names of every single person we saw together. Must have been Dave keeping tabs on me the whole time. Never would have believed it. Guess if you could spot them, though, they wouldn't be so damn powerful.
Lieutenant?
I know you're a drinking man, so what do you say we go grab one together?
Looks like it's my lucky day. Sure, why the hell not? Lead the way. So why don't you cut the bull and tell me why we're really here?
Sure.
You've been spying on me, Dave, and reporting everything back to Victor. I don't like rats. That's not all right with me.
And what? You think I ever had a choice in the matter? Think I had the option to say no?
I don't care. All I know is they got all the intel they wanted on me from one of my own soldiers, and I don't know why. What's your angle, Dave? You bitter you got a Mancer as your lieutenant? I thought we were past all that. What'd they promise you? Promotion? Better pay?
Nothing but a promise they wouldn't hurt my parents. Is that a good enough reason? I don't like the ASC. Don't like what they're doing to Abundance. Don't like what they're doing to me. I don't like the deal they offered, and I don't like I didn't have a choice but to accept it. I ain't got no one but my folks since my sister died. Not that I expect you to shed a tear for me, but if I gotta choose between them and you, sorry, brother. You're on the losing end of that. If it helps, though, I don't think you're the full prick you were before we had this little chat. In fact, I might even have liked you in another time and place. But you're in deep shit now. And it's shit I don't want to get pulled into with you.
I don't want your blood on my hands, David, but I can't let you keep doing what you're doing. So I'm just gonna tell you to get the hell out of Ophir and don't look back.
I don't... Sure. Yeah, sure. Bye, Lieutenant.
Zachariah, a pleasure as always. What may I do for you?
I found the mole. David Ward was running lines for the ASC.
In these times, spies are everywhere. They used to be like rats, but now bear more resemblance to cockroaches. Should you see one, you can be certain 100 more reside in the walls, each placed there while their arms were twisted by the ASC. So what happened with this Ward?
I couldn't find it in myself to kill him, so I released him and let him run, like a rat. I would assume he's still running, and we'll never see him in Ophir again.
The full blame cannot be cast on him. There are few who the ASC cannot bend to their will. We'll cross our fingers. Hopefully this soldier is gone for good and does not find himself arrested before he should escape.
I wanted to talk to you about something.
What about?
We're looking for a scientist who disappeared. Name's Charles Seeker. All I found is some of his research. Seems he was studying Technomancers before getting arrested and sent to a camp.
Charles Seeker. Yes, the geneticist. Geneticists pose a risk. Scientific discoveries are always threatening to expose our secrets. Your friend Scott even worked on the same research years ago. Never found out what Scott did or didn't discover, though. He ended up drinking himself into irrelevance. So I stopped worrying. Whatever research you found, make sure no one sees it. Could be our downfall.
Listen up! Everybody! Listen up or I shoot him!
Help me, please. Help me.
Shut up! Do what I say or I shoot him! You gonna listen? Huh? Huh? Hey you! Soldier boy! That's right. Listen up or I kill this guy!
What?
No! No! Shut up and listen! Don't talk! This little shit's brother ruined me, okay? He lured me in and got me up to my eyes in debt! So, you find him and tell him if he wants to see his brother again, he forgets what I owe him! Got it?
You really think threatening an innocent man's the way to go? Or maybe you think it's gonna make things worse for you? Calm down, maybe I can help you.
So, what are you gonna do? Protect me and my family?
Sure, we can keep you all safe.
That a promise?
It's a promise. If you lower your weapon.
All right. I'm putting it down. Just lock me up and keep your promise.
Everything okay?
Yes. Yes, I'm shaken, but all right. Thank you so deeply, officer. Thank you.
Hello, Scott. My captain told me that she wanted to see you.
Is it related to you? Are you sick?
No. Not that I know of. She didn't tell me why.
Oh, well, should I take my pouch then? It's an important question. I should still take it though, but it's a little heavy. All right, I'm leaving without it.
I think I have a problem with going through your friend's things. I hope whatever you're looking for, it's worth it.
I'm trying to find information about the past. It's personal, okay?
Hello, Mancer.
Hello? I found some of your father's letters.
I knew it. Tell me.
Most of the correspondence was friendly. They were very close. However, there was some tension between them over time. Some letters gloss over an expedition that they had done together, but what surprised me the most is when your father talks about a boy who was actually Scott's son. The last letter I found is a bit bizarre. I didn't really understand what he meant.
What did he mean? Do you remember?
Your dad begged Scott to stop the madness, warning that his wife's divorce was only the beginning of what he would lose if he couldn't face the truth. That it was too late for his son. He seemed to think Scott was on the verge of self-destruction.
It's true that it's rather mysterious. Scott, a son. Did you know?
No, he never told me about him. He obviously lost him. No doubt it's still a touchy subject.
We have to find out what this is all about. You have to ask his wife. Did my father really mean to interfere in his family drama? Maybe that's why he disappeared? Please, Zechariah!
Almost impossible to go through the underworks without bumping into one of those monsters. Yeah, the guards aren't working overtime to get rid of them either. Almost got caught by a school of jellyfish the other day. Didn't think the score was worth more than my life, so I hid. I've seen one of those filthy creatures from a distance. Heard they're poisonous. I came face to face with a locust once. Never ran so fast in my entire life. When there's one, there's bound to be many.
I'm sorry to... You Angela Seeker, Scott's wife?
Ex-wife. What did the drunk do this time?
Nothing bad. He's a friend.
A friend? Ah. Right.
Just looking for some information on one of his friends. Mark. And your son.
Get out! Get out! What right do you have coming around digging up the past?
Listen, I think Mark's disappearance was tied to Scott's research, and your son. And I know you were a researcher too, so I'm hoping you'll be able to help me understand the research better. Maybe even find your old friend.
The drive to dissect even the smallest details, to try to understand how and why. That thirst once drove me too, but I let it go. There was no well deep enough to satisfy that thirst. I was never as involved as Scott. In truth, I began to give up my work once we had our son. The focus of my research had been the study of animal mutations with the goal of vaccine production. And always wondered if... Because of that, I had been the conduit that carried the infection to my son. Scott was more interested in genetics and its medical applications. The second our son showed signs, though, I completely stopped my research. If I hadn't told Scott, he would never even have noticed. And his answer was to swear he could find a cure. He really believed that with his work in genetics and mine in vaccination, that we could save our son. But I was too devastated to help him. All I wanted to do was spend every second with our son before he was taken away from us. Which, of course, happened. And Scott and Mark took off on a wild goose chase that he was sure would end in a cure. Ha, I didn't get it. There wasn't anything he needed that he didn't have access to in his lab. And while he was off, I was alone, and waited, and eventually got tired of it. So I asked for a divorce. And then they finally came back, with nothing to show for it. But soon Mark took off again to find what I guess were raw materials for research that Scott swore he couldn't find here. And that was the last I saw of him. That's all I know. I never found out what their research was on, and honestly, I just want to forget it all. Please now, can you leave me be?
Hello, Mancer.
Hello. I talked to Scott's ex-wife.
So, what did she say?
It's an awful story. Her son. Anyway, their son was struck by mutation. They took him away from them, of course, but it made Scott go crazy, and he was convinced that he could find a remedy. He asked for your father's help, so they left together, and were gone for a long time. Their exploration apparently didn't lead to anything concrete for the boy, and Scott descended into madness. And then one day, Mark left. His ex thinks that it was to bring back something useful for his research, and he never came back.
Shit. So my father's disappearance is related to that poor kid? It's really awful what they must have gone through. That explains a lot about why he's so crazy, and also why he behaves as if we were his kids. Thank you, Zach. That doesn't answer all of my questions, far from it, but I have a better grasp of what happened. My father disappeared by helping his best friend, who was going through a rough patch and wanted to heal his child. It's a sad but beautiful story, isn't it? I'm gonna think about all this. Thank you again.
Hi, Scott.
Hello, my boy. How are you? Nothing broken, I hope?
I have a sample of a drug that was administered to the soldiers. We absolutely need an antidote. Can you do that?
Of course. You know, you could have probably made it yourself. If you would listen to the science lessons I was trying to teach you. Oh well, you preferred to throw lightning bolts. I remember that time.
Scott, here's the sample. Can I get an antidote?
You think that I'm senile? You'll see. Give me some time. Take this. It wasn't that complicated. I made you one dose, and I wrote down the formula on it. They'll be on their own for making others.
Thank you, Scott. Hi.
Lieutenant, how can I help you?
I went to a friend for a solution to our antidote problem, and he found one.
That's the kind of good news you don't get every day. You could stop 100 terrorist attacks and still not save as many lives as you have with that antidote, Lieutenant.